Hi, I'm Kayla, the booktube turtle, and my book came out today. After working on this book for 4.5 years, it's here. It's here in physical form. This is an advanced copy, which is why it has this line going across, but the actual book is out. It's available on ebook and paperback, and I can't like wrap my head around it that like it's real, this is happening, it's out there in the world for people to read. It's crazy. So like I said in my last video, this is a Q&A about the book, about my writing process. I asked you all for questions on YouTube and social media, and several of you all sent questions in, which I am so thankful for. Especially shout out to the ones who sent me questions even though they weren't entering the giveaway because they've already pre-ordered. You all are the best. So yeah, we're gonna get into these questions, and then I'm going to randomly pick some winners. One person will win a paperback and 2 people will win ebook copies. So yeah, let's do it. Before we start though, I will also be doing a Q&A discussion video after the book has been out for a little while so that we can like discuss spoilery things and more about like the actual book after like people have read it and whatnot. But this video will not have any spoilers. So this first question is from Hannah. How did you go about the editing process of your novel? Did you hire someone or did you self-edit? So I had a long process. So I wrote several drafts of this book, and I kind of consider that self-editing because every draft I write, I'm going through the previous draft and like making edits, making changes, stuff like that. So I wrote like the first draft to get like the base story, and then the second draft was to get like a more fully rounded story, if that makes sense. And then I actually edited the second draft, like I printed it out and like went through and edited it. And my mom read that draft. She was the first person who ever read it. And then I wrote the third draft, which I swapped with my amazing critique partner, Rachel, and she just like tore my book apart, and I really needed that. Because there were things like I was holding on to that just did not work in the story, and she was just like, this doesn't make sense, get rid of it. And it really got my book to where it is now. So then from there I made her suggestions, and I wrote the fourth draft, which I sent out to beta readers, and my betas gave me feedback, which I incorporated. And then I wrote the final draft, the fifth draft. It was like my final like complete like big draft. I did like self-editing on that as well. And then I sent it to actual editors that I hired. I sent it out to 2 editors who I found through Goodreads, and they were awesome. They really like helped point out like tiny little details that like I just overlooked and everything like that. And that's how my book got to where it is today. So basically, to simply answer the question, I had a combination of self-editing and hiring professional editors. And if anybody is thinking about self-publishing, I definitely recommend that you do at some point hire a professional editor, because you can only do so much because it's your book. So like you just see it differently than somebody on the outside. The next question is from Connor Stompanato. Were there any parts of the book that you struggled to get right? Oh boy. One of the things I struggled with was the first chapter of the novel. Like, I had issues with this chapter probably for like at least a year, if not longer. I just was like having such a time trying to like explain the world and the characters, but like so like the readers would like understand what was going on, but not have it be so overwhelming that it was like boring to read. And I just I couldn't figure it out. I was just having so much trouble. I eventually did. I'm really proud of the first chapter now. I also struggled with the first chapter for another reason, but I can't talk about that because it relates to something that happens later in the book, and that's a major spoiler, so yeah. I also struggled a little bit with the ending section of the book, like not the very end, that's pretty much always been the same. But some stuff that happens like towards the end, it's hard to talk about things and not give stuff away. But so there was a thing that was happening and it wasn't working. It didn't really make sense or click with the story anymore. And I was just like, if I take this out, what am I gonna put there in place? And so I just really kind of like struggled trying to like figure out what to do with it. And I think I actually figured it out by talking to my friend Brittany, I think is how I came to what it currently is. But I'm really glad of like for going through that process because I do really love what it is now. As far as characters, towards the beginning, like the first few drafts, I really struggled writing Jesse, who is my main male character. There's a lot going on in his head, and every time I was in his point of view, I was just like, this boy is going through it, and it was just really hard to like be in his headspace. But I eventually figured out how to like, I called it like filtering, where I would be like, I'm not gonna like take in everything that's going on with him, just like the little pieces that I need to write this thing right here, right now, because it was so overwhelming being in his head. So yeah, I struggled a little bit with him, which I get him now, so like I have a much easier time writing him than I did back at the beginning. The next question is from Mr. Godliak. Asks, how many words is it? What made you decide to switch it from first to third person? So first, it is around 116,000 words. At some point, there was a draft that was like 120,000 words, and I got it down to 116, which I was very proud of. Yeah, it's pretty long, but I mean, it's dystopian. There's a whole lot that happens. As far as the other question, the book has always been in first person. It did, though, change from first person past tense to first person present tense. I think I just kind of like tried it at some point and it just felt more natural. So I like completely switched the entire book to be in present tense. This is the first book I've ever written in first person though. Books that I wrote like in middle school and like early high school were all in third person. I don't know why that was. I think maybe, well, in middle school I was like obsessed with Harry Potter and that's all I would read, and Harry Potter was in third person, so I feel like that's maybe why I wrote in third person. But yeah, I decided to try first person with Beyond the Gates and it just worked. And I was like, oh, I like first person. I've never written this before, but I really like it. So yeah, I really enjoy writing in first person now, and I feel like it works really well with the story. The next question is from Vanessa from the channel A World of Words. And she asks, how did you know you were ready to self-publish the book? How was the formatting process? Did you run into any unexpected issues with either the paperback or digital version? So I'm going to make a separate video that like really dives into self-publishing and my self-publishing experience and why I decided to self-publish and all of that. But to answer the questions here, how did I know I was ready? It just felt right. It felt like it was time, you know, like I'd just been working on it for so long, and I was just like, I'm ready to go for it. And so over the summer, I actually was like reading through it because I was like, oh, I want to start like drafting book 2, so I'm gonna like go read book 1 to like refresh myself. And I was reading through it and I just had this moment of like, oh, this is pretty good. Like, this is like reading a real book. So I was like, you know what? I've always kind of known that I wanted to self-publish because I wanted to have more control over what happened to my stories. So I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. And here we are. As far as formatting, that was an experience. Yeah, I definitely had issues with formatting the cover because the cover was made before I realized sizing and quality issues. So yeah, I had to work with my friend who designed the cover to like get it to properly work where it would not mess up when it was printed on the book. That was a time. And I spent several days being very frustrated and having a lot of anxiety and stress. The actual like inside of the book formatting was pretty easy. I just followed the guidelines that Kindle Direct Publishing had for like how to format the Word document so that when you turned it into a PDF and uploaded it, it would be correct. And a lot of that was just like adjusting like margins and stuff. Unexpected issues, many. I've had issues with like dealing with like my author page with like the bio and the picture and stuff. I've had issues like formatting this thing. Just, yes, all around. One thing that I haven't talked about yet was the map. There's a map at the front of the book. Hold on. Where like the United States is like divided into regions because that's how things are in this world. And I had a time getting that thing to upload correctly. It wasn't working and it kept like glitching and like doing weird things and not looking right. And I was like, I just need you to work. And it wasn't working on like the digital or the paperback. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And I had to keep like playing around with stuff. I eventually fixed it. It's fine now. As you could see, it did print correctly and it does show up on Kindle correctly. So like, thank God, because I was just like, I really want to include this map so that when I like reference certain regions, people aren't super confused. But yeah, I definitely spent like a solid 2 days just trying to figure out how to fix the map, and I was like so stressed. Question is from Jasmine. Why does the book look so cool? Since you were working on it for 4 years, did you run into writer's block? Will there be a series? So yes, I love this cover. I love the book. I love how it looks. I love it so much. And why does it look so cool? Because my best friend Natalie Shane designed it. She is an artist, and like, oh, look at this. Look at this. This is exactly what I envisioned for the cover, and like, here it is. Here it is. She made this, and I just love it so much. Did I run into writer's block? Not necessarily, because I like outlined everything ahead of time, even though like a lot of stuff definitely changed over the various drafts. There were definitely times when I didn't want to work on it from like being burnt out, or there were just times where I was like, I just hate this book so much and I never want to look at it again. But then I move on. I'm just like, oh, I just love this book. But yeah, there's definitely times where I was just like, I need to step away and take a break and just Is it a series? Yes, it is the first book in a 4-part series. This next part, shout out to Nicole Xenia for sending me a whole list of questions, even though she's one of the ones who was like, don't put me into the giveaway because I've already pre-ordered it. So like, you're awesome and thank you. Everybody go check out her channel. So her first question is, what was your inspiration for the book? When did you first get the idea? So, because I'm crazy and know these things, the idea first came to me April 11th, 2016, around 8 o'clock in the morning. Don't ask me why I know the specific date and time. Just kidding. It's, it was typed as a note on like my old iPad that I had back in the day. I was a junior in high school at the time. That's crazy. I'm a senior in college now, so... But yeah, that was like the date and time stamp on there. So I don't know if there was like any specific inspiration that like led to the idea. It just kind of came to me. I mean, I did really and still really love young adult and dystopian. But I still have the notes from like what I had typed out when I got the idea, and it's like really cool to like go back and look at because I can see like my thought process and how I got to like what the idea is today. So the first note was, girl gets glimpses of people's futures when she touches / makes contact with them. Never told anyone, tries not to touch or be touched. Guy brushes past her and sees him die. She has to figure out who it is and how to stop it from happening. So that was like the initial idea, especially of like a girl being able to see people's futures. The rest of that, not a thing anymore. And then the next note was something about the government ? And then maybe she's in a secret government program of kids with special abilities. When the book starts, it is her first time outside the compound. Was she taken away from her parents ? Supposed to find people and help them ? Program has ulterior motives ? I was just asking a lot of questions as I was figuring stuff out. And then the next thing says, program assigned her to him because they knew he was a potential threat. She has to get a reading of his future and report back after they tell her she needs to eliminate him. So like that's really, you know, starting to get into more of what the book actually became. So yeah, that's a little bit about how the idea formed. The next question is, what was your writing process? Did you write every day? So like I said, I had just finished my junior year of high school when I started writing it. When I got the idea, I like actually outlined for a month because I was like, I'm gonna wait until I'm out of school for the year. So then I started writing. I wrote for about a month every single day. And then I left for a 5-week summer program thing. And we weren't allowed to have any electronics except for cell phones, which had to stay in our dorm rooms at all times. We couldn't take them anywhere. So I didn't have my laptop or my notes or anything, so I didn't really write at all during that time. I mean, plus we were so busy, like all day, every day, that, I mean, I didn't have time to write anyway. I did at some point write like a 1,000 word scene in a notebook somewhere that's like not even, it's like a scene from book 4 that I don't even know if is gonna exist anymore. I don't know. But when I came back from that, I got back into writing. My senior year of high school started, so it was less often. I still ended up writing the first draft within like 5 months, and that's including like the whole month that I wasn't even here. The next question, did you know everything before starting to write Beyond the Gates, or did anything change the further you got into the story? In parentheses, planner, pantser, plotter. So I knew most of the basic story. Like I said, I outlined before I started writing. But things did definitely change as I wrote and as I went through, you know, each draft. And some things were major changes. So yeah, I did outline or like plot, like, yeah, I'm a plotter. I like to know what's going on. It was a pretty detailed outline. I might like make a video about that someday, about my outlining process. But I did know that if something needed to change, I wasn't gonna make myself like stick to the outline. So like I made a very detailed outline, but I was like, this is subject to change. And about halfway through the book, I actually redid the outline for the second half because of like little changes that had happened. But I am definitely not a pantser. Like I could never just like do something without knowing what's going on. Did anything surprise you while writing the story? Any of your characters or plot points? Oh, definitely. Yeah, there were definitely surprising things. I can't really talk about them because spoilers, but this is something we can talk about in the spoilery Q&A that happens later. But yes, there were definitely surprises. What was my favorite characters, scenes? What was my favorite to like write? My favorite character was definitely Jesse. He's my favorite. I love him so much. Yes. Not to say he isn't a handful to write. Like I said earlier, there's a lot going on with him. But I just love how protective he is of his siblings, and like even though he's been through so much, he's still just pulling through. And I just love him very, very much. I love Emma too, but low-key, Jesse's my favorite. I also love Charlotte, who is Jesse's younger foster sibling. She's just sassy, and she's also just like really smart and clever. And I just love how like protective she is of Jesse, like as much as Jesse is of her. I just love their little sibling relationship. My favorite scenes to write, no spoilers, but my favorite section of the book to write was probably chapters 19 through 24. That's all I'm gonna say. I definitely had other favorite moments. I'll come back to this in the spoilery Q&A. The next question is, at what point did you come up with the title Beyond the Gates? So I don't completely remember, but I do think it was after I finished the first draft. I was actually like reading through the draft and trying to pull out things that could possibly be used in the title. And I had a few different options, but landed on Beyond the Gates. So originally in the first chapter, there was a line where Emma says or thinks something like, will I ever get to go beyond the gates? And when I found that, I was just like, that's it. There it is. That's the title. So yeah, and then I went and changed that sentence because I was like, I don't want some like title reference in the very first chapter of this book. So I changed like some wording around and stuff. But yeah, that's how Beyond the Gates got titled. From the cover it says book 1. Can we assume there is a sequel currently in the works? Yes, definitely. Like I said earlier, this is a 4-book series. I'm currently working on the sequel Beyond the Fire. Book 3 is titled Beyond the Dark, and book 4 does not have a name yet, but it'll be Beyond the something. And I do generally know what's going to happen in each book, like, and across the series. But that was all the questions. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted a question, and now it is time for the giveaway. I previously assigned everybody a number, and we're just gonna like random number generate this. Drum roll. The winner of the paperback is Vanessa from A World of Words. Yay! Exciting. Okay, and then for ebook, first ebook, the winner is Jasmine. And the winner for the second ebook is Hannah. Yay! I've never done a giveaway before, so this is pretty exciting. So yes, congratulations to the winners. I will be reaching out to you to figure out how to get your copies to you. Yeah, this is very exciting. I can't believe the book is out. Like, it's out. Like, what? So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Beyond the Gates is out now. You can get ebook and paperback on Amazon. The link is in the description below. And yeah, thank you again for everyone who submitted questions. I hope you all enjoyed this Q&A, and be on the lookout for a spoilery Q&A announcement. As always, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.